welcome back to our channel on this beautiful day. We are absolutely thrilled to bring you the latest, most in-depth coverage of the dramatic events unfolding in Port Charles. Let us dive right into the heart of the action. The sweltering summer heat in Port Charles is not the only thing causing temperatures to rise across the city, as the latest developments from General Hospital indicate a massive storm brewing for one of our most prominent local families. The Ashford and Robinson clans have never been strangers to intense drama, but the upcoming weeks promise to deliver a storyline that will leave viewers clinging to the edge of their seats. At the absolute center of this impending emotional hurricane is Dr. Portia Robinson, a woman who has spent her entire life meticulously controlling every variable, only to find herself completely at the mercy of biology, fate, and the unresolved tensions simmering within her own home. The stakes have never been higher, as the very foundation of her family is tested under the crushing weight of secrets, strained loyalties, and an unexpected medical crisis that threatens to change their lives forever. As viewers are well aware, Portia is currently navigating the final, exhausting stages of a high-risk pregnancy, a journey that has been fraught with both immense joy and profound anxiety. Carrying a child at this stage in her life, amidst the chaotic backdrop of her demanding career as a top-tier medical professional at General Hospital, has taken a visible toll on her physical and emotional well-being. She has been walking a tightrope, desperately trying to maintain her composure and project an image of strength to the outside world, while privately grappling with the terrifying vulnerabilities that accompany impending motherhood. The physical discomforts of late-stage pregnancy, including the sleepless nights, the relentless fatigue, and the constant worry over the baby's development, are compounded by the psychological burden of her fractured family dynamic. Portia is a healer by trade, yet she finds herself agonizingly incapable of healing the rifts that have torn her loved ones apart, leaving her isolated in a sea of overwhelming emotions. The relationship between Portia and Curtis Ashford has always been a complex tapestry woven with deep, enduring love and devastating betrayals, and their current situation is no exception. Recently, the couple has made a concerted, desperate effort to reconcile, attempting to patch the gaping holes in their marriage for the sake of their unborn child and their shared history. They have been tiptoeing around each other, desperately trying to avoid stepping on the emotional landmines that litter their shared past. This fragile peace, however, is built on shaky ground. It is a truce born out of necessity rather than true resolution, a temporary ceasefire in a war where the underlying resentments have never truly been vanquished. Curtis, dealing with his own internal struggles and the heavy responsibilities of impending fatherhood, is trying his best to be the supportive partner Portia needs. Yet, the unspoken tensions between them act like a pressure cooker, slowly building steam with no release valve in sight. Adding an unbearable layer of heartbreak to Portia and Curtis's already fraught situation is the current status of their beloved daughter, Trina Robinson. Trina, who has always been the moral compass and the beating heart of their family, has finally reached her breaking point. Exhausted by the endless cycle of drama, the half-truths, and the suffocating atmosphere of her parents' turbulent relationship, Trina has made the devastating decision to step back and distance herself from the chaos. For a young woman who values honesty and stability above all else, the constant emotional whiplash of the Ashford-Robinson household has simply become too much to bear. Her absence leaves a gaping, agonizing void in Portia's life, right at the moment when a mother needs her daughter the most. The pain of Trina's estrangement is a constant, dull ache in Portia's chest, a tragic reminder of the collateral damage caused by their marital strife, and a major contributing factor to her skyrocketing stress levels. It is within this incredibly volatile environment that the latest General Hospital spoilers tease a catastrophic turning point. The fragile emotional dam that Portia has been desperately trying to hold together is about to burst spectacularly, triggered by a heated, high-stakes confrontation. We know that Portia's frayed nerves and hormonal imbalances make her a powder keg waiting for a spark, and it appears that someone in Port Charles is about to strike the match. This will not be a minor disagreement or a passing argument. The spoilers indicate a deeply intense, emotionally shattering clash that will push Portia past her physical and psychological limits. The sheer force of the anger, the adrenaline coursing through her veins, and the devastating emotional impact of the words exchange will act as a violent catalyst, setting off a chain reaction within her body that she is utterly powerless to stop. The most immediate and likely candidate for this explosive confrontation is, tragically, her own husband, Curtis Ashford. Despite their best efforts to maintain a united front, the cracks in their foundation are too deep to ignore. Perhaps the argument stems from a disagreement over how to handle Trina's heartbreaking distance, with each parent blaming the other for driving their daughter away. Or maybe it is a sudden resurgence of past grievances, a moment of weakness where the carefully constructed facade crumbles, revealing the raw, unhealed wounds beneath. If Curtis is indeed the one who pushes Portia over the edge, the guilt and the devastating irony of the situation will be a heavy burden for him to bear. A fight between husband and wife, meant to clear the air, could instead trigger a medical nightmare that threatens the very life they created together, forever altering the trajectory of their marriage. However, we must also consider the very real possibility that the confrontation involves a different, equally volatile figure in Portia's life, which is Jordan Ashford. The history between Portia and Jordan is a tangled web of rivalry, shared history with Curtis, and lingering resentments that have never fully dissipated. While they have managed to coexist in Port Charles, the underlying tension is always present, a dormant volcano waiting for an excuse to erupt. A chance encounter, a misunderstood comment, or a deliberate provocation could easily spiral out of control. If Jordan is the one who locks horns with Portia, the confrontation will be laced with years of unspoken bitterness. The sheer intensity of facing off against a woman who represents so much of her past pain could easily overwhelm Portia's already compromised system, pushing her body into a state of absolute crisis. Regardless of who is standing across from her when the shouting stops, the immediate aftermath is guaranteed to be terrifying. The emotional crescendo of the argument will violently and abruptly transition into a severe medical emergency as the extreme stress triggers premature labor. Imagine the sheer visceral terror of that moment, characterized by the sudden agonizing tightening of her abdomen, the breathless realization that something is terribly wrong, and the immediate shift from righteous anger to pure unadulterated panic. Portia, a highly trained and experienced physician, will instantly recognize the severity of her symptoms. She will know with chilling medical precision exactly what is happening to her body and the grave danger it poses to her unborn child. This clinical knowledge will only amplify her terror as she is forced to abandon her role as a doctor and surrender to the terrifying vulnerability of being a patient in a life-or-death crisis. The most harrowing aspect of this impending crisis is the very real possibility that Portia will not have the luxury of a controlled, sterile environment for this delivery. The sudden onset of these intense, stress-induced contractions leaves precious little time to navigate the logistical hurdles of getting to General Hospital. The spoilers heavily hint at the classic heart-pounding soap opera trope of an out-of-hospital birth. Portia could find herself trapped in an elevator, stranded on a deserted roadside, or locked in a room with the very person who triggered her labor, completely cut off from the life-saving medical equipment and expert colleagues she desperately needs. The stakes of delivering a premature baby in an unsterilized, ill-equipped location are astronomically high. Every passing second will feel like an eternity as they battle against the clock, improvising medical care in a desperate bid to ensure the survival of both mother and child. Conversely, even if they manage to initiate a frantic race to General Hospital, the journey itself will be a nightmare of suspense. We can envision the chaotic scenes featuring a vehicle speeding recklessly through the streets of Port Charles, Curtis, or another frantic driver desperately navigating traffic, while Portia writhes in agony in the passenger seat, her medical expertise useless against the relentless onslaught of premature labor. The arrival at the emergency room would be a scene of orchestrated chaos, with Portia's colleagues, who are doctors and nurses who are also her dear friends, rushing to save one of their own. The transition from the chaotic outside world into the bright clinical lights of the trauma bay will offer a glimmer of hope, but the battle will be far from over. The medical team will have to work miracles to stabilize Portia, stop the progression of labor if possible, or prepare for an emergency delivery under the most dire circumstances imaginable. In conclusion, the upcoming episodes of General Hospital are poised to deliver an emotional tour de force that will captivate audiences and leave a lasting impact on the landscape of Port Charles. Portia Robinson's journey from a tense, heavily pregnant woman to the center of a life-threatening medical emergency is a masterclass in suspenseful storytelling. The identity of her sparring partner, the harrowing details of the delivery, and the ultimate fate of her innocent baby remain shrouded in mystery, but one thing is absolutely certain: the Ashford and Robinson families will never be the same. As we prepare to witness this heart-stopping drama unfold, we can only hold our breath and hope that out of this terrifying chaos, a new life emerges healthy and strong, bringing with it the promise of healing, unity, and a brighter future for a family that has endured more than its fair share of darkness.